This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information to expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers.
Introducing the A1 Summer Vacation Series. This completely fictitious vacation package takes you across the USA to meet each and every Art of Network Engineering co-host. Start in sunny California and catch a Padres game with Aaron. Next, be sure to pack flip-flops, snow boots, a raincoat, and a hoodie, as you might need all of them within a 24-hour time span because you're heading to Nebraska. Have you ever seen a snow tornado? You might get to. After the corn feast, you'll head south to the great state of Tennessee for a grand old time of camping and off-roading with Dan. Heck, you might even get to go on a wedding photography ride-along. When the wedding's over, jump on one of those airplane jauns because you're heading around the Philly area. Plenty of pool time and barbecue to be had with Pitmaster Andy. Just please mind the lawn. Finally, you'll get to make your way to No Blinky Blinky Land itself for a luxurious stay in Vermont. The maple syrup flows by the keg, and you might get to see a gaggle of mooses. Mooses? Moosei? Anyway, you'll have a great time. This entire trip could be all yours if it was actually real. Anyway, welcome to the Art of Network Engineering.
Oh my God. Tim, when you described Nebraska, I thought you were also talking about Vermont. So,
I thought you were talking about Tennessee too.
It is interchangeable, I suppose, but I only know what I know.
On July 4th, it was colder than it was on Christmas in 2020.
What?
Yeah, on Christmas it was 65 degrees, and on July 4th this past week it was 63.
Huh.
Welcome to summer.
63.
I am AJ Murray at No Blinky Blinky. That was Tim Bertino at Tim Bertino. Tim, how you doing?
Pretty good. I am
Thanks for
on
another killer
vacation
intro,
this week,
Tim.
trying not to look at email too much, and so far it's going well.
Excellent. I too am on vacation this week.
Right on.
I love it because I'm getting 2 or 3 phone calls every day from the same guy. I love him. Let me preface that. I love him. I work with him. He's a great guy.
Must be a listener.
And he starts every phone call with, "Hey man, I know you're on vacation, but hope you're having a good time."
Is it Taylor?
No, it's not Taylor.
Oh, okay.
Taylor knows better. No, I'm just kidding.
You guys have heard of boundaries, right? Tim's not checking his email too much on vacation. AJ's actively taking work calls on vacation.
Well,
We need to
I feel
define
bad because there's a
vacation
big
on an
maintenance window
episode.
that's happening tonight that, I'm not around for, that I feel like I probably should be around for, but I'm not going to be around for it because 1, I'm on vacation, and 2, I'm recording a podcast, so not going to do it.
And my excuse is that I've never learned how to be Zen Andy.
There's only one Zandy.
Zandy.
The definition of vacation is not working.
Speaking of Zandy, he is at Andy Leptef, Permit IP Andy. Andy, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, man. I was in the pool today. The water. Oh, I forgot to tell you, when I was at the beach last weekend, these planes fly by with the messages, like drink this beer or do that thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I swear one of them said something about something Wooder, Wooder. It was gone before I could get my phone and take a picture, but I'm like, I got to show the guys. They teased me about water.
Wooder.
Yeah. Anyway, I was in the pool today. It was 92 degrees. I threw a whole bucket of ice in thinking it would help. Did not.
I didn't know. No.
That explains that picture.
Yeah. But
That
I'm
was a
good,
funny
man.
picture.
Enjoying things. Got a maintenance window tonight. All good.
Excellent. Well, we shan't dawdle. We don't want you to miss your maintenance window.
We got time. Let's
Dan
dawdle
at
away.
Howdy Packet. Dan, howdy.
Howdy. How's it going?
Pretty good. And you, sir?
I'm doing well. Today was a good day. I got some ACI stuff knocked out today. So,
Ooh, tell me.
Yeah,
I
what'd
love
you do?
ACI.
it's just contracts. It wasn't nothing special, but got quite a few of them knocked out. So
Nice.
I don't
That's
know what
always
that
fun.
is.
a contract, Andy, is
Like, does it push policy or something? Like, what does a
so
CI contract do?
it's kind of like their version of ACLs, right? Like this EPG can talk to this EPG over whatever filter you allow it.
See, all I know is EPG from Michelin, so I'm trying to fill in some more.
EPG is endpoint group.
Yeah. No, I got that one. I just didn't know
okay.
the track.
All right.
So, all right, cool.
I
It's
got
an
you.
ACL.
I
Got
think
it.
we'll do an ACI episode sometime.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, we do have a guest this evening. We got some intro to get rid of, get through first before we introduce our guest. So stand by, guest. Stand by. I know you're itching to talk. I can tell. No wins this week.
WTF.
I know. I think it's a holiday week. Let's hear a goat scream for relaxation
The goat is sad.
and celebrating the birth of
No
America.
wins.
Go
I
ahead,
don't know.
Andy.
Can we do a goat scream for no wins?
I think relaxing and America's birthday is goat scream worthy.
Yeah, that's a win.
I feel better.
Same.
I feel better.
I always do.
Ah.
Breathe it in. Breathe it in.
Well, I know everybody's working hard on stuff, and no doubt we'll see that thread fire right back up. I'm sure everybody was relaxing and enjoying. Hopefully most of y'all got a nice long weekend in. I know I did. I too, as I said earlier, am on vacation, so I'm not looking forward to going back. This episode of Art of Network Engineering is brought to you by you, our listeners. We had a fantastic response to our merch store last month, so that was very exciting. Thank you. We will have some very exciting giveaways coming soon because of all the purchasing that you all did for us. We are rapidly approaching our 100,000 download mark. As of this morning, we broke 97,000 downloads. We are averaging 500 downloads a day thanks to everybody listening, streaming, downloading the podcast. And so I have no doubt that by the time this episode airs next Wednesday, that we will probably have hit the 100,000 download mark by then, which is just mind-blowing. And it will be before our 1-year anniversary.
Is that when I get up my Tesla?
No.
No.
All right. I don't know what number we got to hit for the Tesla, folks, but keep downloading.
But I will add another zero to your paycheck.
Thank you. So many zeros.
So it'll be 7 figures. And there's a decimal point in there. I'll let you figure out where I put the decimal point.
Oh, gosh.
But I digress. Anyway, thank you so much for your support. Please continue to support, download, listen, and give us feedback. We take the feedback and we put it right back into the show. We love hearing from you guys. So tweet us, DM us, slide into our DMs, as the young kids say. Andy slides across his screen.
And the Open Gear giveaway is coming up too, so stay tuned for that.
I expect that year to be finished any minute now, and as soon as it is, we will start the giveaway. Trust me. Those are going to be exciting. All right. So I'm super excited to introduce our guest this evening. He is a huge contributor to our community. We've seen some pretty amazing and exciting things come from him this year, and so I can't wait to hear about the juicy details. Please welcome Robin Canela. Robin, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me. It's really exciting to be on here.
We are excited to have you. He is at Robin Canela on Twitter. If you're not following him, you should. We will have all of his socials in the show notes, so look for those there and make sure you subscribe to him. Robin, let's start in the here and now. What do you do now? What are you up to these days?
These days, okay. So these days, I'm actually working as a cybersecurity engineer.
That's a sexy title.
Yeah. Something
I think that's a highly
different.
sought after title. Sounds kind of dirty.
Funny. Before I got hired, my hiring manager, he asked, "What do you want your title to be?" I'm like, cybersecurity engineer.
Heck yeah.
Robin, that's cool and everything, but I feel like you could have aimed a little bit higher there.
I was just going to say cybersecurity architect is what I would have went for.
Vice president?
Vice president, yeah. CTO, sir. CTO.
I'm surprised you didn't sneak Batman in there somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
So that's what you're doing now. What did you come from?
So previously, before I did cybersecurity, I was a voice engineer. So
that seems like a big leap.
Collaboration.
Yeah, how did that transition happen?
I know it is a big leap. It's completely different arena when I compare voice engineer to cybersecurity engineer. And actually, the way it happened was my mentor. So I got a mentor last year. First
How
time I
did
ever
you
had a
how
mentor.
did you get the mentor? Because I still don't have one, and I'm trying to figure out how to get one.
So someone that I work with, I just reached out to him and I said, "Hey, do you do mentorships? Would you mind being my mentor?" And he said, "Yeah." And he
Somebody you
agreed.
look up to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone I looked
Okay.
up to.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it was actually my wife had a mentor for a long time, and I asked her like, "What's that like? Like,
Hmm.
what's it like to have a mentor?" And like, that must be pretty cool, someone you can talk to about your career. So I had a mentor, and then through the conversations I had with my mentor, we spoke like once a month. He actually reached out to me through conversation, and he offered me the opportunity.
Awesome.
You know, he knew and understood, right? I didn't have all the skills needed for cybersecurity, but he knew that I was a very passionate person about technology, and I was willing to make effort to learn. So he said the first person he thought of was me.
So
So
wait,
that's what he
who was
offered.
this? Your mentor offered you the position?
Yeah.
Damn, I need a mentor.
So he
Wow.
actually got a position as a SISO, right? Chief Information Security
Okay.
Officer. So
Huh.
yeah,
So now
it's
was
pretty
he in
awesome.
security when you were in collaboration?
Yeah, he was in cybersecurity.
Okay.
Two
So
different companies, correct?
So we actually worked at the same company for a while,
Hmm.
and then he worked for, he started working for a separate company, and he reached out.
So he was
I
your
gotcha.
mentor at the same company. He moved on,
Yeah,
and then he pulled you with him.
yeah. And the way it happened too is that, I was kind of reaching the end of the road, I guess you can say, for collaboration. I was kind of getting tired of it. I wanted to do something else. So I
Hmm.
actually just started applying. And, I told him this. I told him I started applying for other positions. And eventually he came back to me and he said, "Hey, by the way, are you still looking?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, I got this great opportunity for you if you want it."
Hmm.
That's how it happened.
Wow.
So
There you
I mean, I
go.
still,
before we get deep into the security aspect of it, I kind of want to go back further. What got you into collaboration? Was collaboration your first foray into IT, or was there something before that? And I guess maybe we can kind of define what collaboration was for you, what your functions were in that position.
yeah, sure. So it kind of just landed on my plate. Not something I chose, just something I was
Yeah, I hear that from most
moved
people in
to.
collaboration. Like it sounds like nobody chooses collaboration. It just, they got elected to be the collab person, and now
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. So I got my intro to IT. I was actually I was doing retail before IT, and I
Mhm.
also did utility locating. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yeah, where they mark the utilities on the
Yeah,
ground.
exactly. That's what I was doing. I did that for a couple of years,
So like
and
dig safe? Is that like a thing? Is that what you're
is it
talking
it?
about?
PA1 call. They call it something different, I think, in
Yeah,
811.
Easton.
in
But yeah,
Vermont
yeah,
they call
yeah.
it dig safe. So like if you're gonna do some excavating, building, or something like that, you call
Yep,
800 number and they show up and they mark out the utilities.
Huh.
yep, correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
do
So
they give you two little rods and you like walk around and try to find the water lines, or I don't know.
Only in
what's funny?
Tennessee.
Water lines are just visual.
Really?
I didn't know that until I did it. Water and sewer, you just look at the other water line and you just mark a line straight there because they don't curve; they just go straight.
Ah, yeah.
So,
Okay, I guess that
Oh,
anyways,
makes sense.
interesting.
yeah, yeah, it was interesting. So I did that for a couple of years. I worked at retail stores like Toys R Us.
Hold
I
on.
got
Hold on. How do you
so
locate the different things in the ground? Do they have like what else?
Oh
Like, so
boy.
I have gas,
How do you do
electric,
it?
water coming in here, sewer. So like, all right, I get the water you just follow and sewer follows that. Like, how do you find gas and electric? Is it
so
One of
electric.
those locator Johns.
yeah? But how do you
Electric.
What's the difference between gas and electric with the locator Johns? Are they two different Johns?
No, same thing. So electric, it just electric naturally produces energy. So
Uh,
actually, what you do is with
the
your
EMF field.
transmitter, you connect to the power, the power source,
Yeah. Right.
and then you just kind of just trace it. With gas is untraceable, so you need actually a tracer wire. You plug into the tracer wire, and it's attached to the PVC pipe, and then you just follow it like
So
that.
when they install a gas line, they put a tracer wire for the.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Cool.
and if it's broken, you got no way of tracing it, honestly.
You just spray the red line and hope for the best, right?
If it's broken, I'm sure somebody will tell you.
You have depending on some manufacturers, you have like their plats. You can kind of see where it is, but
Hmm.
those are not 100% reliable.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while. And then a buddy of mine, he did IT, and he knew I was into IT. I was like the family IT person. I
Family
just fixed
nerd.
everybody's computer, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Family
Yep.
nerd,
Thanksgiving,
exactly.
you don't look forward to it because everybody's like, "Oh, Robin,
Can you
I
fix
got
my
this pop
laptop?
up.
My phone, this thing still isn't working. Can you help me?
I
It
got a new
doesn't
phone.
ring.
Can you set my email up on there?"
I got this new router.
How do I hook it up? Plug it in. Anyways, so I was a family IT guy, and it stems back from like growing up in high school. I was a big PC gamer. I was in IRC chats. I built
Nice.
my own computer. So then I got to learn how to use computers, build computers. And a buddy of mine was like, "Why didn't you apply for a job doing this?" And I'm like, "Really? People get paid to do this?
Doing what? Building PCs?
Just like troubleshooting PCs."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, I'll try." So I put my resume out there. I kind of, spruced it up a little bit, kind of exaggerated a little bit. The stuff that I put on there, I knew how to do, I knew how to do it, but, I didn't have any like professional experience.
Mm-hmm.
So did you
Yeah.
say you like worked in IT at Toys R Us?
I know, right? I troubleshoot people's computers all the time. But I got a call from like a temp agency, and actually I got a position as a contractor for a really large government contractor in
Wow.
Virginia, and
Doing what? What was that gig?
just PC imaging.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Is
just
that the
worked at a
first PC
yeah,
job you were talking about?
yeah,
I
I
don't
worked at a PC depot.
I don't want to glance over that gem that you dropped though, that you hadn't been paid professionally to do things that you knew how to do and you'd done for free for people,
Yeah.
and they're valuable skills. But so I think there's I think that's a good little tip for people who don't have the experience and are trying to get in, not necessarily lying or embellishing. I don't know what the right word is, but if you have the skill, you know how to do it, and you've done it for free for 20 or 30 people. I'm guessing you wrote it up that it was an actual job
Yeah.
somehow, right? Like, yeah.
But I also did volunteer.
There
Like
you
I
go.
volunteered at my church, right? I
Hmm.
helped with
Hmm.
all things electronic. So I got involved in like AV stuff, computer stuff. So that
Nice.
helped build up my knowledge and confidence. And
Yeah.
when I got the interview and I explained what I knew, they were impressed and they offered me a position.
Awesome.
I
So yeah,
think that's some underrated avenues there, right? Like the volunteer thing. Like everybody's a part of some sort of social organization, be it a church or something like that. They always need tech assistance. Jump in, help out. That's experience. The contract work, like when you're young and you're looking for experience and you don't have a family to support, you don't have other stuff going on in your life, taking contract work is a very feasible way to get some good experience. There's albeit some more risk in there. Maybe it's not like a long term position, but it gets you the experience you need to get your foot in the door somewhere else for that longer term position. And so I think those are really great nuggets of information. And then, of course, the slight embellishing of your resume to highlight your experience
But you have
all
the
the time.
skills, right? It's just
Yeah, if you
nobody's
got the
paid you
skills
for
and you,
them
you
yet.
can talk the
So,
yeah,
experience and you can back it up, I think that's really what
yeah,
matters.
I don't think it's falsifying anything, which wouldn't be right. It's I know how to do this stuff, and then you get in front of them and you show them. That great. The guy knows what he's doing. Bring him in. I didn't mean to sidetrack you, Robin. So you
no,
started
it's fine.
that PC gig.
Yeah, so yeah, I did that for it was a rough time though because I was so stressed because my contract was only for 1 month, and I was
Mm,
like, you know what, I'm gonna take it. Better than what I'm doing now.
yeah.
But luckily they kept extending it, and eventually they gave me a full-time position.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
Nice.
how
So
long
how
What
did
was
quick?
that take?
your thought going into that? I'm gonna take the 1 month contract, and as soon as I get that, I'm gonna start looking for something else, or did you wait until the contract was over before you really started looking for the next step?
So I was not actively looking. The person I met, because as a contractor, you have the contracting company and then you have the company that you're doing the work for, right? So I actually met both managers, right? I interviewed with both managers and they both really liked me. And the manager of the actual company, right? Not the contracting company, he said, "I'm gonna try whatever I can to get you on board."
Hmm.
So with that
Okay.
being said, I kind of like, okay, I don't have to put too much stress into looking for another job. As long as I do a good job, that's all that matters. And I did. I worked as hard as I could, learned as much as I could. I remember at that time, it was just imaging PCs. So I don't know if any of you have any experience imaging PCs.
Yep.
That's
Oh
all we
yeah.
did all day, just image PCs, used PCs, new PCs. And I think on average, everyone did around 8 to 12. So when I came, I was like, you know what? I need to raise the bar. So I was doing like 12 to 16.
So just
That
for
guy.
listeners who don't know what imaging is that like loading the operating system and applications and stuff, but it's just all one image, right? You're not doing like
Yeah.
one program at a time.
Yeah.
Just
So how we did it at that time was we had a little USB with a custom configuration for Windows. And it would essentially harden the system, right? It would disable stuff, enable stuff, like features and stuff like that. And it would make it so it's a baseline that that company approves. And as a government
Mhm.
contractor, you really had to follow a lot of like government restrictions.
how does this government work?
It was just government contractors, so like they were involved, heavily involved with the government.
Were
I mean,
these
I could say
PCs going to government employees or were these like
no
retailed out?
consultants.
Okay,
Our consultants that work with the government. So we
gotcha.
had compliance that we had to follow, and so it was really neat. I mean, at that time, it would take us maybe 2-3 hours to image PCs, but we had huge stations, so I can put like 8 machines at a time and image them all.
Hmm.
And it was pretty cool. I learned a lot of things like Iron Mountain. We had complete like hard drive backups, which I haven't seen till since then. Like I've never seen companies really do a hard drive backup. I'm sure they do, but nowadays most people just back up their files, right? Like OneDrive or SharePoint or whatever. But these were hard drives. They were completely backed up, and you can just restore it. It was so simple.
Like just a mirror image somewhere,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
pretty neat stuff. So
Crazy.
yeah, that's where I started, and then from there I just kind of learned, and I moved on to a different company doing desktop support, and eventually so what ended up happening, how I ended up in collaboration was this company that I worked for had about 200 employees, give or take, in the office. But then they sold a portion of the company to a much larger. It's a fintech company. They sold it to a larger fintech, which I believe Andy works for. And then we had 40 employees left. So they were like, "Hey, we don't need 2 desktop guys anymore, so we're eliminating your position, but we're offering you this position," which was like a conference systems engineer or whatever, mainly doing like WebEx. So yeah, I became the WebEx guy.
Ah.
And then from there, they were like, "Hey, it doesn't make sense for you to be in the desktop team, so let's move you into the network team to join the other voice engineers." But at that time, they did everything. So they did networking, they did servers, security, collaboration. It was just one big team that did it all.
Okay.
And once I joined the team, they were like, "Hey, you should learn networking. You should learn servers. You should learn this." So
So
that's how I got my start.
Was that exciting or did that feel like a burden?
It was actually really exciting. The reason why is because as I was the desktop engineer, desktop support technician, and I worked with like some of the network engineers, some of the architects. These guys were just, I mean, in my perspective, they were genius. They were really smart people, and I don't know, it was really inspiring whenever they would get stuff done.
you weren't
I'm like,
intimidated at all
not
by
at
it
all.
or okay.
So, and they told me what to do. Like, hey, if you really want to learn networking, here, buy a couple routers, buy a couple switches, or we can send you some if we have some,
Hmm.
and learn about the CCNA. That's what you want to go for.
So this is why you
And
were in desktop support and they were trying to groom you for some networking stuff
yeah,
coming up. And is that because you expressed interest in networking?
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I expressed interest, and then one of the architects at the company, he really likes that. When people express interest, he is willing to help them
Yeah.
to succeed. And,
Hmm.
that's really, I don't know if it's difficult to find, but I felt like it's very difficult to find someone that is willing to help you at that level. Um, so any question I had, any little question I had, I would ask him and he would help me.
Were you the question guy? You're like the passionate question guy, like how
Yeah.
does everything work? See, I think, at least from a lot of people that I know, if you find somebody like that, you want to help them. They kind of like when I find someone, they remind me of me that, guys
Yeah.
just like, oh my God, what's going on? This is amazing. I want to, teach me. That excites me. Like that's great. You're in an environment that wanted to foster that and get you labbing and stuff.
So let's put some time on this. Like, how long is it now from when you first started doing that imaging contract to where we are right now? Is that like a
Uh,
year, a couple of years, 6 months?
let's see. I started desktop support maybe 10 years ago, 10,
Okay.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
And I did desktop support for a total of like 5 years.
So
And
5 years in,
eventually,
that's when you switched to being the WebEx guy.
yeah.
So did you have any like education background, or were you working on any other certs before then or during that time?
this is gonna sound kind of silly, but I had no idea about this whole certification stuff.
Sure.
No idea. For a long period of time, I
A
just
lot of
like
people don't.
CompTIA.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I would just hear the names, right? CompTIA. I didn't even know who Cisco was when I first started working.
Yep.
People would mention Cisco. I'm like, who's Cisco? What's CompTIA? So for a long period of time, I didn't have any I guess any kind of structure. Like, oh, I should study this and this and
Sure.
this. I was just kind of like, just do whatever I can on a day-to-day basis to essentially get paid.
Yeah.
So from an education standpoint, you've gotten most of your training is on the job up to this point?
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is that we've talked about this multiple times, and it's, the college path isn't the only path to get into the IT industry. There's
Mm-mm.
multiple ways at it. I mean, you had made it as far as you had without any of that, post-secondary education. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, it was something when I would compare myself with my peers, I'm like, man, I'm the only one that only has a high school diploma. Everyone else has a bachelor's. And at one point I'm just like, man, maybe I'm not good enough. But then I'm like, oh, well, I'm here. So
There you
I guess
go.
you don't need a bachelor's to do this job.
Nice. I like
Have you never had imposter syndrome? Are you one of those guys?
it.
That's a daily thing.
Yeah, all right.
Nah,
You just-
imposter syndrome is something I think we'll never escape. Me personally, I don't think I ever will, because I'm sure there's someone out there that knows more than me.
Yeah.
But got to be confident in your ability to do stuff. So yeah, then after 5 years, I did collaboration stuff, mainly WebEx. And then I kind of did a little desktop support here and there. But then once they moved me to the networking team, they were like, all right, you need to learn more than just WebEx. And I was like, okay, cool. What else am I going to learn? They're like, okay, you need to learn CUCM, right? Cisco Unified Communications Manager.
Ah.
You need to learn Unity, right? Cisco Unity. And at that time, we use UCCX, right? The Unified Contact Center. I
Yeah.
believe that's what
Contact
it's
Center
called.
Express.
And well, we had Enterprise Edition.
Okay. Yeah.
We had I am in present, and we had Expressways. They were like, you got to learn all this stuff, and I'm like, great.
What version were you
But
on?
when I first joined,
Yeah.
11.5.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I did that stuff. I got brought in on, and like yourself, I didn't choose it. I was chosen for it. My first help desk job, that was like the first big project that I got to be a part of. And we were going from like a traditional digital PBX system to voice over IP. And we were implementing the whole, unified communication suite. So like you said, Call Manager, Unity, Cupsy, or I'm in Presence. We didn't do Contact Center. And it was all version 7, which was like a huge facelift, a very big change over some of the previous versions. So I got my start on 7. So I'm picking up what you're throwing down, and I kind of miss it, but I kind of don't.
Yeah. So that was, and then on top of that, they also involved me in networking. So they were like, oh, you have to learn, because we were one team. My main focus was collaboration, but I also had to learn networking. I also had to learn like security, like ASAs and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it was just a small percentage. It was mainly focused on collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, the company decided, executive leadership decided it doesn't make sense to keep all these groups together. So they actually split all the groups into their own separate groups. And they like, oh, you know most about collaboration, so you go here. So that's what ended up happening.
So did you get siloed at that point?
Yeah, what ended up happening is a lot of people were unhappy with the decision, and we lost a lot of architects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of the architects left because they like the whole cohesive unit because they can all work together.
Yeah.
But once the split happened, and there's politics involved, and yeah, we lost some good architects, and a lot of them went on to like Cisco, and I mean, at the end, it was better for them.
Was
Yeah.
that a relief for you personally to be able to focus on collaboration, or did you not like being taken away from the other stuff you were learning?
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
It was cool, you get to learn like vSphere, like that's on the server side, right? And on the networking side, I was able to touch like a lot of different technologies, and they just implemented ACI when I was there. It was, it was interesting. I didn't know what it was at all. I mean, even till this day, I still don't fully know what it. I mean, I know what it does, from a high level perspective, but it was just cool stuff. And I was like, man, I get to play with this stuff. Dream was shattered.
So how
Yeah.
far back did you decide that it was potentially time for a change, and how specifically did you land on security? I know you talked about having the mentor and getting the offer to do that. Did you have any other aspirations for security, or did it just kind of happen naturally like that?
I did. I mean, I always thought the concept of security, hacking, right? I always thought that was cool. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't think
Yeah.
hacking is cool,
Right?
right? So actually, I started with this new company in April, but I was actually interviewing with a VAR, a value added reseller, since January. I know it's a
Hmm.
long stretch back. I had like 6 interviews
Oof.
Oh wow.
until April, right? So this whole time I'm making this decision, I'm gonna go with this VAR for network security, right? Focusing on Cisco and Palo Alto. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this transition eventually, right? When that hiring phase opens up, because they didn't open until like April. But then in April, my mentor reached out to me, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, so I can do network security or cybersecurity, and I chose cybersecurity.
What's the difference?
I think network security is more focused on like the engineering perspective, like deploying appliances, and I think cybersecurity is more like the info stack, more like policy management, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I would
different
say that
tools.
that's my understanding from the difference of the two.
No, that makes sense. That definition.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense when you dissect it like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was a tough decision though, because I'm like, man, I want to work for a bar. Like that's cool. You get to see stuff, new stuff all the time. But then I hear stories from other people that work at bars, and they're like, hate it, hate the travel, dealing with customers, and I'm like, okay, I really gotta think about this. Do I want to deal with customers and travel all the time, or do I want to have a comfy position at home and I have to deal with people?
And you
So
can
I
get
know,
into
I know
this.
my choice.
You can answer as much of this as you want, Robin, but this wasn't, if I remember right, this wasn't just a new position for you. This was a new position for the company you were going into, right? They didn't have anybody like you before.
correct, yeah. They didn't have essentially they didn't really have a infosec team.
And
Hmm.
that wasn't scary for you at all?
No, actually,
And
the
you,
opportunities excited me. I'm like, I get to build stuff from scratch.
but you have
Ah,
no infosec background or skills, right?
Not at all. Actually, I have my
So how does
security plus.
wait. How does a
Here we go.
company how does a company decide we're going to bring in an infosec guy, and by the way, he has no experience, no skills, but we're going to create this position for this guy.
His
Your
mentor
mentor's
was the
got some
hiring
pull,
manager. It was
bro.
it was like
Yeah.
somebody trusted, right? Like they knew
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
Robin was
Your mentor
capable
probably
despite not
vouched, right?
having like, the experience on paper or whatever. They knew he was very capable of, dealing with it.
yeah.
You
He
think your
he
I
mentor
knew
I
vouched for you?
he knew I was easygoing and I would be willing to learn. He
yeah.
didn't want to deal with someone that may have had all the knowledge, but
Mm.
were not willing to change their ways, or maybe they come with a methodology of a large company and they're like, no, this is the way it has to be. Very
I've I've heard
unflexible.
that a lot, Robin. A lot of the job that I have now, the guy brought me on. He's like, "Listen, I've hired some real you know what's, and they know everything, but they're super abrasive, and nobody wants to be around them." So
Yeah,
you find, like you said, an easygoing guy with a good personality. He's a go getter. He wants to learn. Somebody you can groom that you like, as opposed to the guy with all the skills who just want to punch in the face, right? Like, yeah, I've heard that a lot. Something to be said for the soft skills and that personality type, right?
yeah, I
Being
agree.
easy to work with and a go getter.
And people remember that too. So, the soft skills supersede, I would say. Yeah, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're a jerk to work with,
Mm.
it's hard to recommend.
I think
Yeah.
that the IT, network engineering, any sort of the verticals in IT, like there's no possible way that you could know everything. So when you get to a person that acts like they do, that's not fun to be around. Because they're not open minded enough to understand like there's still more to learn. There's new stuff coming out all the time. There's challenges before them. And so it just makes the whole relationship abrasive from the get go.
The problem with those people and what they do to the culture is they get mad at you for not knowing everything they know. And that's a really difficult environment to work in.
Yeah,
At least that's been my experience. Like, sorry, bro, I don't know everything. You do. My bad. Like, I'm just, because I'm question guy, right? I want to ask questions. I want to make sure I don't break stuff. How does this thing work? And guys like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, all right, this is the conversation we're having now, buddy. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah. So I don't want to gloss over this because I think it's a pretty big thing you're doing, but you're spending quite a bit of time on something else going on in your life. Do you want to get into that around education?
Yeah. So I actually went back to college,
There you go.
which is pretty
Nice.
awesome. I
So
actually
wait.
started at WGU, Western Governors University.
Let's start with
so what-
2021 is the year of Robin. Okay.
Year.
'Cause
Yeah.
I looked at your blog. I'm following you on Discord and the socials. Like I was just taking notes, 2021, a new me, right? I mean, you got a blog post about it. So tell us about 2021, all the things, there's more than just college. What have
Yeah.
you done? What is this new me? What's going on? Because it's been
what
fun to
sparked
watch.
the decision for New Me?
Let's see. Okay. Let's start at the beginning of the year. Actually, my wife and I, we were trying to decide, like, do we want to continue? 2020 sucked. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And being home, like, I just felt like I became a different person.
Yep.
I feel like I got lazy and I was just like very irritable,
Mhm.
having to stay home, see the same people, do the same routine day after day. And I was like, I'm really tired and I really don't want to continue to live this type of lifestyle. I know the circumstances happen, right? But I really felt like I learned a lot about myself during 2020. And I decided, 2021, I want it to be different. I want to go out and explore and I want to just change like my personality, not my personality, but just change my lifestyle. And yeah, 2021, we made a big decision. We actually decided to sell our house in Virginia, which, we bought it brand new. We constructed it from the ground up, right? We picked all the little nooks and
wow.
crannies, right? It was one of those, right? Pre-built homes.
You picked the backsplash in the
Yeah.
kitchen and everything. Yeah.
The backsplash, the flooring, right? What type
Wow.
of I guess protection you want, like under the carpet, how thick you want it, like all these things we picked, right? And essentially it was like our dream home, right?
Yeah.
But then, we decided, it was a pretty large house, just me and my wife and our dog, like 4,500 square feet, including the basement.
Big crib.
Yeah, including the finished basement, because there was also unfinished parts. And it was nice, comfortable, but at the same time, like we just both weren't very happy. And it was not only, the house and stuff, but also like some relationships got strained as
Yep.
well. And we were like, you know what, we should just go and try something new. Like, what's holding us back? We both work remotely. And in October of 2020, we actually just came to Phoenix just to kind of see what it's like, right? And we fell in love. And we're
Why
like,
Phoenix? How did you wind up in Phoenix? Had you heard about it? It was just a random, like, let's try this out?
heard about it, but also it's kind of like go away from the colder climate, come
Yeah.
to somewhere nice and warm. Well,
Right.
really warm.
I don't know why. Why would you want to
But,
go
I'm not
cold?
sure warm is the word.
Hot.
Yeah.
It's a dry heat.
But it's a dry heat, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still hot. Tell you that much.
Yeah.
That's
But,
the dad joke, right? It's not the heat that'll get you, it's the humidity.
So yeah, we just decided we sold our home. We put it up on Zillow or whatever. We had a realtor, and in 7 days we got an offer.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was awesome. We sold our house in 7 days, and it went
Without
up
a
in
place to
value.
go?
Like
Did you have a place in Phoenix to go yet?
we actually just picked an apartment online.
Okay, cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well,
We didn't see it in person. We just thought, yeah,
And-
that looks like a good place.
and I'm guessing your wife had a similar experience with you in 2020, right? It was rough, strained.
Yeah.
It was like you guys were in that same place mentally
Yeah.
of like we need a fresh start here.
Yeah, gain weight. Like it was just bad.
Yeah.
And so we just decided, you know what? Let's just sell our house. Like, is our house really holding us back?
Did you have family down there? Because it's the only reason I live where I live is because I got family around here. That's it.
Where in Arizona?
Well, no, like
Or-
did you have family in Virginia that you left?
Well, my brother lived there, but
Yeah.
he just moved to West Virginia
Right.
for another job. So technically, I didn't really have anyone left,
Yeah.
just
I
friends.
mean, that makes it easier, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're not leaving your peeps.
So we moved across country. We drove across country.
Wow.
We sold almost all of our stuff. So we had just one trailer and the truck bed full of stuff, and we drove across country. We took our time, right? It took us like 5 days to drive, and
How was that?
it was rough.
Oh, okay.
My
I
wife
remember
did
you had an
0
incident with one of your
driving.
lab raptors.
Ah! Now wait, was she supposed to drive?
She's scared because of the trailer. So I was
Yeah,
like,
okay.
all right, I'll
I
drive.
I get it. Yep.
Because it does feel a little different, right? When you're
Yep,
driving
yep.
with the full trailer, you can
Yeah.
feel it pulling the truck.
Listen,
yeah.
if I was her, I would have used the same excuse. Robin, you got this, buddy.
And we did have an incident, like AJ was about to say. We were parked at a hotel in Tennessee, by the way. That's why I don't like
Ah.
Tennessee. So someone actually broke into my truck bed cover. It was a soft cover,
Mhm.
Oh, tunnel
and it has
cover, right.
rails, but someone pulled out a router. Right, I had a router there, luckily.
What's this?
Hey, Bubba,
And-
what's this?
Can we
What's this
can we
thing
make
do?
can we make
It-
whiskey with this thing? Nah.
They threw it in the ditch.
Oh,
And
yeah, they were like, screw that. They
So-
didn't know what it did.
I had no idea. So I was walking my dog and we kind of went to the ditch and I was like, oh, look, that's interesting. There's a router. The 2921 router. You know,
Wait,
those things are
that's-
huge.
Wait, that's my router.
But at that time, I was like, oh, this is so hilarious. Someone else.
What a
lost their
small
router.
world. There's a router in the ditch.
He's like, oh, I could add that to my lab. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
Walk back inside. My wife's like, all right, let me go back to the car. And she
Hmm.
calls me and she's like, did you even check the truck? I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, everything's fine. She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, what are you talking about? I come back, I see the gash, and I'm like, oh, that's my router. So yeah, then I had to drive to Oklahoma to get a new truck bed cover. I had to be there within like the next day, 8 a.m. or something.
Please tell me you got a hard top this time.
It has like aluminum rails
Yeah.
and it rolls, so it's like a flat
Nice.
profile, but it's really difficult to get through.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did they get anything else besides the router, or was that the only loss?
That was it.
That's all Dan had time to grab.
And it slipped
sitting-
out of my hands.
It's
I
probably
say-
sitting right behind him.
It took a beating though. Like
Yeah.
I guess they dropped it, but I was like, that thing, nothing happened to it. Just the face cover came off a little bit. I'm like,
Mm.
It's a 2921, man. You can beat the crap out of
Yeah,
those things
Yeah,
and
they're
still work.
there-
So I drove across country, got a new job, got my motorcycle license, something I've been wanting to do.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's pretty dope.
There we go.
I really got into fitness. So actually, I lost like, I think so far, maybe 30 pounds.
Wow.
yeah,
Congrats.
dude.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
awesome.
huge difference. So I exercise, I kind of slow down a little bit, but I exercise about 4 to 5 days a week now.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't exercise in the morning. And the reason why is because I work East Coast hours. So
Yeah.
get up around 5:30. I usually log in by 6. I'm off of work by like 2 o'clock. So then right after work, I go to the gym.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's see, what else did I do this year?
What's up
I
with the
went-
books?
Started
You re-
school.
School.
Oh, the
college.
books. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm on my 15th book right now.
Whoa.
15.
wow.
You made a what was your post? You wanted to read 30 books
30 books. Yeah.
this year? Wow.
So you're
yeah.
halfway.
Why?
I'm
Just
halfway.
like I like to read, and this is
Yeah.
part of my reinvention of myself.
Yeah.
So,
right?
so what's on
Yeah.
Robin's book list? Is it like fiction, nonfiction, cert
Mixture of
guides?
both.
What are we reading?
So I don't include cert guides, right? They're not really what I consider a book.
Torture
It's
devices.
fiction, nonfiction, like self-help books, stuff like that. Right now I'm finishing up the Barack Obama Promised Land.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Do you have a
Yeah.
favorite of the first 15? One that stands out, or they're all pretty great so far?
Why We Sleep is really interesting.
Hmm.
That really also changed my perspective on sleep. So I will always skim on sleep, like 5,
Same.
6 hours, and I'm like, oh, I'm good.
Mm.
Then I read this book, and I'm like, I'm not good.
Yeah.
I need to sleep
I'm gonna
at
have to read this
least
book now.
7 hours.
And
Now, were
But it-
you supplementing with caffeine when you were doing the 5-6 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 24, 32 ounce
Yeah.
caffeine a day. I do drink it black with no cream or sugar, but still, that doesn't help.
Right. Are you drinking less caffeine now that you're sleeping well and exercising?
Yeah, I'm drinking a lot more water.
Yeah,
I
I
kind
found.
of track my water intake.
Yep.
So it feels so much different. I mean, I still drink coffee, but just not
Yeah.
as much, like 12 ounce, maybe 8,
You
12
don't
ounce.
you don't need it to.
Yeah.
survive through your day because you're exhausted.
Yeah. So yeah, I started doing all these challenges, and I'm like, I'm gonna just change and just everything that I've wanted to do or things that in the past were like, oh, I can't do this. I'm like, no, I can do this. So
Hmm.
little by little, I've just been adding stuff as I go along.
And
Hey,
college is part of
Robin.
that too, right?
Yeah, it is. I started May 1st, and right now I think you need 120 credits to graduate. I have almost 60
Nice.
in 2 months. So
Whoa.
You get
yeah,
60 credits in 2 months?
yeah. So WGU is competent based. So if you already know the material, just go and take the final. You don't have to like
Wow.
sit
Wow.
through the whole class.
Now you
So
can sit through the classes if you need to, but if you
yeah,
don't, you can test out.
yeah. If you want, yeah.
Wow.
And like the last course I passed was the so I had 2 courses for the A plus, 1001, 1002. Only
Hmm.
reason I took it. But it took me 5 days to do both. So
Nice.
kind of just I already knew the material because of my desktop support days.
So it sounds like your 2021 is much better than your 2020 and all the
Yeah,
changes that you've made. I mean, you feel better, you're sleeping better, you look better, your health is better,
yeah,
right?
yep. I also grew a
Wow.
beard. That's something different.
Yeah. As Dan rubs his.
Dan's still working on his.
Excellent.
Like,
So,
talk to me later.
pardon my attention span if you already went over this, but did you make that move before the new job was on the table?
Hmm.
Okay, so you were still working with the same company. You were already working remote, so it was cool wherever you lived. And
Yep.
then you got to Arizona, and that's when the conversation with the mentor started about the career change. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah. We moved to Arizona just to move. It wasn't like.
That wasn't for the job or anything.
Yeah. It wasn't for the job or anything.
Gotcha.
So
Man,
what was the driving force in getting the bachelor's degree?
I guess it's something I've seen a lot of other people have, and actually, I have two older brothers, and our parents immigrated from the Dominican Republic, so we're first
Okay.
generation Americans, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
so my parents don't have like college degrees either, so I kind of felt like maybe I should be the first one. Lo and behold, my oldest brother is getting his bachelor's too.
That's awesome.
all right.
So it's
So are you guys like racing right now on who completes things first?
a little bit. I'll be honest. I'm pretty competitive, so I'm like, I'm gonna get it before you.
Well, yeah, you're getting a bachelor's degree in like 6 months, dude.
Crazy.
I won't tell you how many years and how much money it took me to get that bachelor's, Robin. You're
Well,
killing it, man.
Same.
Yeah. So what's really cool about WGU is that you just pay flat fee for 6 months, and you can take as many classes as you want.
Hmm.
Wow.
Oh,
So
okay.
pretty different.
That's
Any new
pretty cool.
hobbies?
Not really. I
Have
had
you
to
been have you
I had
been
to give a.
taking any pictures of anything?
Oh, that's true. Forgot.
I'm on your
I
blog. It's all right.
I haven't taken pictures in maybe 2 weeks
I
now,
like what
but
you've been doing though, man. You've come a long way in a short period. Dan's a professional guy. I dabble, amateur, but I really like you've come along, man. Your images are looking really nice.
yeah, I try. I've been
Yeah.
reading. I got this photography course. It was like $10. It came with a book, and I'm like, oh, well, there's some good tips. And yeah, I've been reading a little bit about the book, photography and
Enjoying it?
yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of getting it. It's just awesome to capture those moments.
Yep.
That's what I feel like.
Little time machine.
Yeah.
You're freezing time. It's super cool. I know that she's not on the show and all, but I just want to ask, like, has the move and everything you just talked about, your wife's probably on a similar journey, right? Like she's in a
Yeah.
new place and doing new things, and is she there with you? You guys are
Yep.
both having a better year than last year.
Yeah. She's like, man, you changed so much. I'm
Mm,
like, I should only be getting better, not worse,
yeah,
as I get
yeah.
older, right? Get better with age.
Thank you, guys.
Look
Like
at
a fine-
Dan's face.
It's like a fine wine. Yeah.
I don't know what you're
So-
talking about.
You wouldn't, young buck.
I mean, technically, I'm getting older though, Andy.
Yeah. But Robin, she's doing good and flourishing, and
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
good.
one of the things too that it helped. for me, I think the number one thing in a relationship, which I feel like I lack in a lot, is communication.
Mm.
So my wife loves to communicate. And so she stresses that a lot. So I'm like, all right, I really got to make a conscious effort, communicate, let you know how I feel. And it helps actually.
So this is like, yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And it's just funny. I'm thinking there's some kind of like stat out there. I don't know if it's like women use 6 times as many words as men in the course of a day, or the number might be higher even, but they're definitely communicators. But I mirror that too, man. Like when my wife and I first started dating, we were very good communicators and both kind of hotheads, and that made for some spicy arguments. But
No.
yeah, yeah, over time and learning some skills and working on our communication, it's just really made our friendship / marriage, and family stronger, which is huge. And guys, I don't think are natural communicators.
Mm-mm.
Talking
No.
about your feelings, you know what I
No.
mean? It's so yeah, that's
I just
great,
thought it
man.
was funny that he was a collaboration guy, but then his wife said he sucked at communication. So, I don't know.
I have a career that says otherwise.
Yeah, woman.
Want to see my certs?
Yeah.
His wife says we need to have a conversation, and then next thing she knows, she gets a WebEx invite in her mailbox.
There it is.
Let's have a family meeting.
I'm like, whoops, quality of service. Packet dropped. I don't know what you're saying.
That's great. So,
This all sounds amazing.
what's in the future? I mean, it sounds like you've gotten a lot done. What's coming next for Robin?
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm actively learning pen testing.
Okay.
So
What is that? Help me out.
so penetration testing. It's
Yep.
where you wanna essentially find out if there's any vulnerability in any system or application. Right now I'm focused more on like web applications.
So are these
And
tools that just slam like ports and they're just trying to get in somehow and overcome authentication parameters and right?
yeah, so there's like tools like, you use different types of tools. So you use like a tool like Nmap, for example. It can scan like open ports, and if there's any open ports, it can also see if it can detect like any operating system versions.
It's like a
And
self-signed certificate it won't like, right? Like that kind of stuff.
yeah, so
Yeah.
Nmap does more of like the networking portion, so scan
Okay.
like ports and protocols, stuff
Right.
like
But there's other
that.
scanners that look for like that other stuff too, right? Like,
Yeah,
hey, you need a signed certificate from a CA and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's like this really cool tool that I use. It's called Burp Suite, and it's for like web applications. So you can like do brute force. You can change like a post message, a get message. Like you can just manipulate and just try to see what the browser would accept.
Hmm.
And it will also like what the application, sorry, and also like scan like to see if there's any active vulnerabilities. So like if it's susceptible to like XSS, cross-site scripting or SQL injection, like these things would be detected.
so is the
And
company you work for a software company? Like what are you guys scanning actually?
so yeah, it is a software company
Okay.
based on the food industry. So it's actually really really cool. I'll do it very brief, but it's if you want to develop a product, let's say you work in the United States, but you want to develop a product in Europe, you may not be able to use the same ingredients and the same amount of ingredients in that country. So how do you know? You got to go through like all these legal regulations, right? In the US we have FDA, and so what our company does is we get all that information for you. You input your formula, and we tell you whether or not it's legal in that
Oh,
country.
okay.
That is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. So we're like certified. We're like part of the non-GMO as well. So Little Butterfly. So like
Yep.
we're active members. I think the most active participant in like providing non-GMO to products. There's a lot that goes into it. So like if you want to be certified like organic farms, like the process takes 5 years just for the farmland to get it all
Whoa.
fertilized and ready.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you got to go through an inspection. So we have inspectors that come and inspect stuff, and they certify. They validate whether or not it's certifiably organic. So it's really cool stuff.
That's crazy considering
so
how
you're
much
currently
like
doing this
organic stuff I see around. Sorry, Dan. Go for it.
Go ahead.
No, go for it.
So you're currently doing the pen testing now. What kind of certs are around that? We haven't really talked about any kind of security stuff on here. So, in enlighten us on what are some of the certs that you can go for in security, and I guess specifically now that you're working towards pen testing, what's there?
So there's the eLearn security. I don't know if you guys know about eLearn
Mm-mm.
security. They were actually just purchased, I believe, by INE. You
Okay.
guys know INE?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So INE is like really focused on cybersecurity now, and they purchased eLearn security. So they have like penetration testing, application testing, and they have they have so many certs. They have like 12 on their website.
Okay.
And then right now I'm currently studying certification from. You guys ever heard of the Cyber Mentor?
No.
No.
Yep.
All
No.
right.
Yep.
So he actually developed a certification. It's called PNPT, Penetration Network Testing Professional.
Okay.
Um, and what's really cool is the format of the test. So like kind of like the OSCP, Offensive Security
Yeah.
something Certified Professional. That's like a 24-hour exam, if I'm not mistaken, and you have 24
Wow.
hours to get a certain, you know, task completed. And with that though, it's like you have access to everything. Like, you Google. That's normally like 90% of the job is Googling, right? Getting information, knowing how to do stuff. So I really like his approach. The PMPT is a 5-day. You got 5 days to complete it, and then 2 days to draft up a presentation of what you found and how to address it, and then you got to present it to him and like someone else. So that's
Okay.
kind of cool stuff. So that you got that, the OSCP. I believe that's made from the same people that make Kali Linux
Mm.
offensive
Okay.
security.
Yeah.
You also have like the EC Council.
Yeah, I've
They
heard of
make
that
like
one.
the CEH. Everyone knows the CEH.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have CompTIA. So CompTIA like Security Plus, Pen Test Plus. You got the CYSA,
Oh,
the
wow. I didn't realize they had a pen test
CASP.
cert. That's cool.
Yeah, they just came out with it, like, I think a year ago. I don't know the exact date. But yeah, right now I'm focused through school actually. There's the curriculum that I'm following. One of the courses, in order for me to complete a course, I have to get my Pentest Plus.
Mm.
Another course, I have to do my CYSA Plus. I also have to do ISC squared certifications. They're the ones that create CISSP. I'm sure you guys heard of
Yeah.
CISSP.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have to get my cloud like security professional, like CCSP or something, and then my system security professional, it's like SSCP, something like that, from the same company. So those are all like in the program itself.
Okay. And that's it.
I
That's bundled in the WGU.
Yeah. In
Okay.
order to pass this class, you need to pass that certification exam.
Okay. I got you.
I got
Yeah.
a classic Andy question. So you start work at 5, you
Yep.
work till 2, you go to the gym. I see you at the pool. When do you study? When do you do all this school stuff that I mean, 60 credits in 3 months? Like, dude, what are you up to? How you doing this?
Weekends, I
Okay.
I have some extra time on the weekends, and so I don't start at 5, so I get up a little early to get myself ready,
Yeah.
and I try to study at least an hour before I start working,
Okay.
Okay.
and then after dinner I'll spend like an hour to study as well.
How's that morning study going? Because that's a Tim Burt hack that I had employed for a couple months, and I found it helpful.
I think it's better to study in the morning than at night.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're fresh. You don't have all
Yep.
these things there you're thinking about, things that happen throughout the day. You're kind
Yeah.
of just focused, and you can get distracted, like, oh, what am I doing? But then I found, like, what am I doing throughout the day, like tasks that I'm doing
Right. Right.
throughout the day. So I actually use Notion to keep track of like my daily tasks or activities, and I kind of like do it the night before, so I don't have to think about it in the morning.
Mm.
Okay.
And is that like a planning app?
Yeah, Notion is like an online, like, I mean, it's like notes on steroids.
Okay.
Eh,
That's
There's
a good
so
way to
much
put
you
it.
can do on it. You can put
Yeah.
like databases. It's very, very powerful tool.
Are you using it to plan your days? You said, or like what you're going to
Yeah,
study? Or okay.
yeah. Like I have my daily agenda. I always put things that we have to do together, and then I also have a study tracker, which I can show you guys
Hmm.
probably later. Just like my daily goals, what I want to study every day, and I have a
Nice.
calendar view, so I can see my 30 days. I can plan like what I want to study each day.
Is that in
And
Notion? Is that a separate app?
yeah, it's in Notion.
Okay. Might have to check out Notion because I try to block all my stuff and plan my days just using a calendar.
Yeah,
Putting entries in the calendar, and I
I
don't
tried
know
it
how.
before too.
Yeah, I don't know how I've joked with these guys before. I wind up just moving from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday. Like, things I don't get to, I push, and then Friday's just a hot mess
Yeah.
of things I haven't gotten to.
That's the thing for me is when I put it to a certain time, and then that time comes and I'm doing something else, then I'm like, then it just messes up everything else. When I
Yeah.
can't accomplish one task, it just
Right.
messes everything else. So I feel like when I just put it as a daily goal, doesn't matter when I do it, it
Oh,
helps me a
okay.
lot
You don't
more.
tie it to a time of day. Just I got to do this today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That makes sense.
I like that approach. It's good. Yeah, Notion's good.
Right.
It's a tool that Aaron has espoused before. He's a big Notion user. It's a good one. I've tried to use it. And I do use it, just not as much as I could or should probably. But it's a great tool. It's like there's like OneNote and then there's Notion, right? Like it's good.
So Notion's a step above OneNote.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
'cause
OneNote's
I live
great.
and
Like
die by
I mean, I
OneNote.
think there's some collaborative parts to Notion too. Like you can share notebooks and work collaboratively in Notion. Obviously, OneNote's really good if you're, Office 365 user and you can share notebooks with teammates and stuff like that. But I think the sweet spot is for Notion is like the personal stuff, right? Like the stuff that you want to track. It's good stuff for sure. We'll
I
drop a
want to
link to
circle
that in the
back to
show
pen
notes.
testing real quick, Robin. So when you guys run the tests and find the vulnerabilities, do you have to fix those, or do you present them to the application owners like, hey,
Yeah.
go fix your stuff?
Yeah. Normally you present
Go
that to
fix your
like
crap.
developers.
Or like if they're rolling out a new application, they have to get scanned, right? And then
Yeah.
they got to pass all the stuff before they can go prod. Yeah, okay.
So let's
Yeah.
talk about that relation, because I'm starting to see this in my personal career. Uh, it's kind of interesting that okay, you're going out and you're looking for this stuff, but then you push that off on the system owner of saying like, hey, there you've got these vulnerabilities. You need to either patch or whatever. Do you help like in the research of what they need to do and like maybe how to accomplish that, or do you just basically give them the list and they've got to figure it out? Like how does that work? Because
That's such a jerk move, right? Here you
yeah,
go.
yeah. I'm kind of dancing around it, like.
No, when we found, so it's pretty early on, right? We just kind of did it. We actually have like a professional company coming in doing a pen test.
Mhm.
And like I'm gonna compare results to see how good I did versus
Smart.
the guys who've been doing this for years.
Well, not only that, but I think for certain compliances, you have to have an outside source to do that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Essentially, too, like if you have customers, like how can they trust your internal pen test
Right.
is as accurate as you say? But going back to what you asked, it's more or less the way we have the way we're doing it is once we get the results, try to find out what the high, because it kind of labels it for you, like critical, high, medium,
Mhm.
low, right? And so we will go address from the top bottom. And luckily, there was no highs or criticals.
nice.
And we kind of just come to them, hey, look, you got this vulnerability. We do a little Google search, do a little bit of research. What have other companies done to fix this problem? Spend a lot of times on forums or GitHub and trying to get information, right?
Mhm.
And we come back with, hey, this is what we found. This is what we found how to fix it. But it's ultimately up to the product owner as well. They
But
know a different
that's in your
way.
report, Robin. Like
Yeah,
you offer. Okay, that's nice that you guys try to dig in and say, "Hey, this is what we saw. This looks like
yeah,
how you fix it." That's nice.
yeah. And there's no formal process at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's just the way we want to do it. Like we want to come informed, not just like this is what we found, fix it.
Right.
That
I
was
mean,
the next thing I was going to ask. Are you focusing on the actual technical penetration testing side of it, or are you looking to in the future write policies around we're going to do this kind of thing once a week, once a quarter, what have you, and then we expect that critical level vulnerabilities get patched in an X amount of time, high, medium, and so on? Are you going to work on a policy as well?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the policy writing, but I do know it's an essential skill, right? Understand, right? Know how to write policy and understand how to read it, right?
It's
Um,
definitely a skill.
yeah, but I'm more focused on the technical aspects
okay.
and some touching on the policy aspects as well. So
So
I wear many
what
hats in my company, so I'll be doing both.
what is the policy? Like I'm thinking firewall policies, but that's not what we're talking about.
It's kind of like vulnerability patching. If you find a vulnerability that's critical, you have this amount of days to fix it.
Oh, okay.
Stuff
Like
like that.
here's our rules of like
Yeah.
what we find, the level, and how many days you have to fix, and
Yeah.
okay.
Like standards,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Standards, procedures, compliance, stuff like that.
I've run into you folks once. I had to stand up something. I had to stand up an application,
You
and
folks.
You
Well,
people.
well, so you know how it is, right? Everybody's got their own pressure and timelines and what they got to do. So I had this thing I had to roll out, and it had to be quick, right? Because everything's a priority. And I rushed like hell to get it out, and I get it all stood up, and then they're like, "Oh, you need a security scan." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Because I'm a network guy. I don't stand up applications, but this particular thing I had to. So, it was hell figuring out how to get it stood up. I pulled in some vert people to help, blah blah blah, whatever. And I get the scan, and they're like, "Oh yeah, bro, you're, you're not good." Like, what do you mean I'm not good?
You didn't do too well.
This is from the biggest networking vendor on the planet. How can this application not be good? But it was really
I
just
think
a
you answered your own
self-signed cert
question
that
there.
they didn't like. But then I
Mm.
had to learn like how to find a CA and get a signed certificate, like get it loaded. And so it was a cool. It's just a whole world I don't know about. The cyber security folks and application scanners. So the people you're talking to, are they coders? Like these are application development people, right?
Yeah.
So they probably know, just like I would know, network
How to fix it.
security. And yeah, like I'm guessing they're expecting something to come back on your report. Like they're kind of leaning on you as we did in my particular case. Like, hey, let's see if the vendor said we're good. I don't know. So fortunately, your teams can let us know. Like, are we safe here? Can we roll this out?
Yeah.
It's great. Very cool job.
So let me
Funny
ask
you mentioned
this.
certificates.
Why's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, you
No,
go.
it's because at our old company, that was such a, I don't know how you guys do it, but tracking like when certificates expire.
People
Oh,
send
man.
emails, and that's just the best way to do it, right? These
We've
15
had-
certificates are expiring, guys.
I think we had at one point a certificate expire in a production environment.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Customer facing, right? So the previous company, we had customers that would use our systems, right?
So what happens? Can they not get to it, or they just get that annoying
don't-
browser
And
thing
they
saying,
could not get to it.
okay,
The service is down.
Not trusted.
so that
Yeah.
it just goes down, right? What kills that access? Because so my home server, I have whatever the hell running, and I don't have certificates, but I can click that, override security, go in anyway. So
Well, I
is there
think you could-
something that kills the client's connectivity when the certificate expires?
Yeah,
If
when
I'm
that
not
certificate
mistaken-
expires, it becomes
Right.
untrusted, and
Untrusted,
then the
that's the big
application
thing.
says, "Well, wait a minute, I don't trust the server anymore. I can't use it."
Yeah.
There's some
That's
applications that
mainly
will
it.
let you override that, but
So
So
that's
a
what
lot
I'm
of them
getting at.
don't.
What's the trust between the end user and the application?
It being a
Because
the
that's
certificate, that
communication.
SSL certificate, when it sees the certificate
Okay.
expire, that's when it says, "Nope, I don't trust you anymore."
Yeah.
So the client comes in to hit it. There's an expired certificate, and they're like, "Nah,
Nope.
Yep.
not
Yeah.
good."
No,
Okay.
thank
And
you.
sometimes
that-
they won't even allow you to bypass.
Right.
Yeah.
That
A
happened to
good
me.
policy wouldn't let you bypass, right? Yeah,
We-
yeah.
We were doing SSL VPN on our phones at a company that I worked for, and we set up the initial rollout of this for just 1 year, and we didn't set up a reminder on when this was going to expire. And we had rolled out, not like a ton of phones, but it was enough for a small company and a small IT staff where it was like a pain in the butt. And the certificates expired, and the phones stopped calling home. And even after we updated the certificate, they wouldn't check in. They wouldn't get the new certificate.
Hmm.
So the only way that we could fix this issue was to have them ship the phones back
Ooh.
Wow, really?
and then reset up the VPN connection there and then send the phones back out.
Wow.
That
Ouch.
turned ugly a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that we
It's a love-
learned.
But I think
Love-hate
we learned.
relationship with those certificates.
I think some
Yeah.
monitoring solutions now have a certificate monitor as well, right? So it kind of like monitors the expiration.
It'll check and warn you,
I
right?
think.
Like when they're expiring. Yeah. So whose job is that? Like, does that fall under cyber, Robin? Like, do you have to deal with tracking certificates and
The old, so we don't do it now.
Yeah.
I don't know who does it now, but at
Right,
my
right.
old job, it became such a problem that they put one dedicated person.
Mhm.
That's all
Wow.
they did, just track
Okay.
certificates.
That's part of there's one guy at our place that's like half his job basically is to
Hmm.
watch
Wow.
that kind of stuff. Uh,
So you just
Yeah.
run reports and it'll tell you when stuff expires, and then you just
no,
got to know, like, uh-oh.
he sets up reminders in his calendar. Like when we
Yeah, okay.
purchased,
Right.
he's the one who purchases the cert, and so he keeps up with all that.
Mm.
He'll
So if
send
he
us an
quits or
email
gets
like,
fired, you guys are in trouble.
yeah,
It's all just calendar appointments in his Outlook, right? That's it.
I think that's his workflow. He probably has something,
Yeah.
more.
If that dude gets hit by a
substantial,
bus,
but-
they're gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
Better make that a shared calendar.
Yeah, you might want to build some redundancy into that system.
Yeah. But so let's see here. I think that now they're starting to come out with monitors that I'm not 100% sure.
You got a question, Dan? What was it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think now.
Dan wants to know how thick you're gonna grow your beard.
No. Oh, I know what it was. So you said your title is cybersecurity engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let me ask this. How much of your job is doing like firewall maintenance or working in the firewall, like doing NATs or that kind of stuff? Do you do any of that, or are you
Yeah, that's network security, not
well,
cyber.
but I've talked to people in the security realm, and sometimes like what they might do is they might not do the natting, they might not do that kind of stuff, but when it comes to firewall policy rules, now that's their baby, so I was just curious if your current role, are you doing any hands-on on like network gear or anything like that, firewalls, whatever?
It's funny you mentioned that because just this week I was notified we need you to take over our Sonic Wall firewall.
Okay.
Bum bum bum. Now
They
you're
were
the
like-
firewall guy.
So yeah, they were like, we need you to go in there and like one thing that they're working on is MFA VPN, so
Yep.
multi-factor, right? So they haven't completed that. So they're like, all right, we need you to complete this project and then just make sure that everything's up to date, all the policies. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, and by the way, you own it once you get that done.
Yo, yeah.
Sucker.
You
That's how
touched
that
it
works.
last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? But a lot of things that I'm doing now is actually cloud-based. So like Azure, I'm really in Azure a lot right now.
Okay.
Like Azure security.
Is that because your applications are built there?
Yeah. Well, they're not built there. They're built, but they're planning to move everything to Azure.
Yeah.
I got you.
So we have some applications in Azure and then some applications in other,
Right.
like cloud-based solutions.
Hmm.
Which is crazy actually. One of our cloud-based solutions was based in Europe, and it was a data center that got on fire.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
OVH, I think.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
called.
That was a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, but I mean there was redundancy, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But
No biggie.
yeah, that's the goal, right? To move everything to Azure and well, maybe not everything to Azure, maybe split some to AWS, and so that's been my focus. Is more learning Azure security.
Talk to Cloud Bart. Just pick one vendor and do one. That's what he said when he interviewed him. I forget what the analogy was, but it made a lot of sense. He's like, man, no. Because everybody
Yeah.
goes multi-cloud just
Yeah.
because reasons, I guess. But I think it's harder to maintain. So you're
Yeah.
getting in the... Do you have any like Azure certs? Have you...
I just got the fundamental, the
Yeah.
AZ900.
Right.
The only reason I did it because I got that free voucher. There was like
How-
that fundamentals course
Yeah.
that Microsoft does, and it was
How
free.
was that? Was relatively easy?
I would say it was pretty easy. I mean,
Okay.
I finished in like 10 minutes.
Oh.
Studying or the test?
The test. It was like 30
How long did it take you to consume the material?
a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's with like everything else going on. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I don't know. I got bored too. So I'm like, I'm gonna watch Netflix or something.
Nice.
But I mean, it's not very hard. I don't think it's. I mean, it's a good foundation, all right. Gives
Yeah.
you an overview of all the products that it has and stuff like that. And
Has
know,
it
just-
helped you do your job in Azure, or is it really just here's our product lineup?
I would say not really.
Right. Okay.
What worked more is like hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome, Robin. This has been a great conversation. I am blown away and inspired by your drive to change so much in such a short period of time. And I think I got to get going on some self-help for myself here. Get back to my old habits. Before we depart, where can people find you?
So I have a blog. which has not been very active, but I promise to fix that.
It's a great blog.
It's just my name, robincanela.com. Very easy. You can also find me on
Canela.
Twitter. Yep. So last name is actually Spanish for cinnamon. So you remember
Ah, spicy.
Oh, very cool.
that. Twitter, right, at Robin Canela. LinkedIn, Robin Canela. Kept it very simple. I think I'm on Facebook or Instagram. I can't remember. But yeah, just Twitter, LinkedIn, and my blog. Those are the main 3 places you can find me.
And of course, our Discord.
Oh,
Robin
man,
C.
that's true. That's right. Robin C.
You want to hit up Robin, you can chat with him on our Discord. Awesome. I will put links to those in all of our show notes. Guys, any last minute questions before we wrap this one up?
Yeah. So Robin, are you taking applications for mentorships? I need one.
Slide the DM.
You're 2021 here.
There's your 2022 and beyond project, Robin.
I think that's like the coolest thing about this show, right? Is we talk to these amazing people that just the motivation is just insane, and it really makes me like think about my life and like, okay, where am I at? What do I need to change? And just hearing these stories, and like, so one thing I wanted to mention earlier, is your ability to say, I'm going to do this, and then you just go, balls to the wall and do it. And that's just like, that's very inspiring. So
Yeah.
I'm going to have to step my game up, man, because I'm very motivated by stories like this.
Yeah, I just want to thank Robin for coming on. I think we all had a similar experience in 2020, and I can echo some of the experiences you had of like, it really made me take a look at things and, my decisions in my life and what I want. And I've made some not quite as dramatic as you, because I think you're like next level, like, kicking butt here. But yeah, like to be able to make some changes to, make this year better than last year. And it's been nice, getting some of those benefits. But super cool talking to you, our first cyber guy.
Yeah.
I think I want to have your mentor on someday. We just got to keep working up the cyber stack to like, it's fascinating stuff.
It's funny. Thank you guys for your comments. That's it's just hear it very often, right? And I don't expect it. I don't expect the praise. I'm trying to stay very low, humble to my roots. That's at least that's how I feel. But one thing I've considered is actually a friend of mine brought this up is helping. So I grew up in New York City, very rough part in New York City, and they were like, "How can you help people that were in your position, knowing the steps you took to get where you are?"
Yeah.
So I've toyed with the idea of like maybe I should help mentor kids or people that live in bad neighborhoods or
You'd be awesome
stuff
at
like
it.
that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely.
I think that's
love
great, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Robin. I promise to never call you Cinnamon.
Oh, I'm definitely calling you Cinnamon now.
Should be your new Twitter handle at
Call
Robin
me
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Okay.
Cinnamon. You the Cinnamon.
Golly.
Might have the title to our episode.
There it is. There it is. Awesome. Thank you very much, Robin. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this week. And come on back next week for the next episode of The Art of Network Engineering. See ya. Hey, everyone. This is AJ. If you like what you heard today, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. Smash that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Art of NetEng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes. You can read blog articles from the co-hosts and guests, and also a lot more news and info from the networking world. Thanks for listening.